Hey everybody, it's Eric Brewer with the Real Estate Agent Sales Academy. As we work with agents all across the country, training hundreds and hundreds of professional real estate salespeople, we've found that often deals will go sideways for one of two reasons. We've talked about this in our other videos. The two reasons would be motivation and hidden deal killers. Today I'm going to help you through hidden deal killers. There's typically two types of hidden deal killers. One that's either associated with relationships. There may be another person outside of your direct communication that would have a say or may impact that decision that your client would make. And then also risk and discomfort. As they start to think about moving through the sale and making a decision to buy or sell, they're going to think about some uncomfortable situations that may put them in, or potentially the risk involved with listing their home, selling their home, or buying the new property that you're looking to sell them. So out of those two deal killers, we then break them up into two categories because we want to help guide our clients through those two different potential deal killers. And there's one category, and those are ones that we can help with. They may have a deal killer that has to do with risk, and you can help them, guide them through that and answer their question. They might say, well, you know what, I'm just a little concerned about whether or not the interest rate is as low as it should be. I don't want to buy a house and get a higher interest rate. You can answer that question with them. You can guide them through that. There's an answer to that question that you can help them resolve. But then there's a whole different set of deal killers that we quite frankly just cannot make the decision or give them information that will answer or respond to that deal killer in a clear way that helps them make the decision. So when you get a deal killer to where it's not something that we can just address and answer, and it's something more complex than that, it's a difficult conversation they may have with someone that's involved in the decision. It's a difficult decision that they have to make about potentially changing jobs to make the higher house payment or whatever the case might be. It's not something that we can give a black and white answer to. What we want to do with those objections is simply reframe it and help the client work through it. And it may sound something like this. So next time you're up against let's say a hidden deal killer, and you've helped the client identify it as they may have to have a tough conversation with their boss about the longer commute to work, and they're going to ask them whether or not they may be able to work remotely from home. So it may sound something like this. Bob, Billy, Sue, Mr. Buyer. It sounds like at this point you're between a rock and a hard place. The conversation with your boss about working remotely or maybe having more flexibility in hours is something I'm not sure that even I would be comfortable having. I mean, it sounds like that could be a very challenging conversation with you. And ultimately, I guess what it's going to come down to is once you have that conversation, if you can imagine yourself having that conversation, as challenging as it may be, let's assume for a second it's really tough. If at the other end of that conversation you were able to get this new property that's going to give you a lot more flexibility with your schedule, if it's going to give you the additional bedrooms and baths and all of the pros that we had talked about that come along with buying this property, if you were to weigh those two options, is it worth it to go have that tough conversation with your boss about getting flexible hours if in exchange you were able to get the property? So basically what we've reframed them, the question is to help them see it as clear as they can. Here's the negatives, right? Here's the tough conversation or the hidden deal killer. We can't simply give them a response. We're just going to try and reframe it so that they can weigh out having that difficult conversation or addressing that hidden deal killer, and then what the positives are that come out the other side. And then ultimately they're going to make the decision. Again, remember, what we teach in our sales process is we can't convince anybody to do anything they don't want to do. We simply help guide people through the decision-making process, and we gain commitments. Hope that was helpful. We'll see you soon.